In the light of the Brexit vote, do you think that political education should be compulsory in schools?
I think that what should be and is mainstreamed through the curriculum is education that gives young people an awareness and an understanding of politics and gives them the ability to be good, responsible citizens. I don't think we should in schools have political education that tries to tell young people what to think, however tempting that might be for politicians, but to give young people the tools they need to make responsible and informed decisions. Obviously young people, and more young people I think these days than previously, will study politics as a course. Lots of young people study modern studies, but I think across all subjects, giving young people the information and the tools to make up their own minds about things is really, really important. So I would agree with the basic premise of your question.
Okay, Freya, do you think that we're getting enough political education in schools?
Yeah, I think it's offered through modern studies, but I'm not sure that modern studies is available in all schools. And I think it's also really important to make sure that it's non-biased and equal, so that people can, young people can make up their own minds instead of being influenced by their teachers or by other adults.
Do you think we should be doing more to help young people and children understand more about the political systems?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure how much difference it would have made during Brexit, because of the older generation were more inclined to vote to leave rather than the younger generation. But I think it's important that we're all young people have an opportunity to learn about what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at what happened in the independence referendum, which not all of you will remember clearly, but schools did a great job there. I think in the run-up to that, there was a bit of concern that it would be difficult to give young people information without it being biased in one direction or the other, but in reality, schools did a great job. Young people were so informed about that decision, not just those who actually had the vote at 16 and 17, but even younger children, and that's a model, I think, of how that can work in that unbiased way, but giving young people the information they need to make up their own minds about what are often quite complex decisions.
And First Minister, do you think there should be a second referendum on the Brexit vote? And should these young people be able to have their say?
Well, I think we should have the vote at 16 for all elections or referendums. Where we in the Scottish Government are in charge of the rules around elections, that already happens. So for Scottish Parliament elections, you can vote at 16, you could vote at 16 in the independence referendum, but for Westminster elections and for the Brexit vote, 18 remained the age. On the first non-controversial part of your question, I certainly wouldn't stand in the way of another referendum in the EU. I don't want us to leave the EU. I think the big question for Scotland, though, is if there was to be another vote on EU membership, how do we make sure that we don't end up in the same situation again, where Scotland votes one way, but because the rest of the UK vote another way, we effectively end up being taken in a direction against our will. So I would like to be convinced that if there was going to be a second vote, Scotland would have an assurance that we don't just end up in the same position all over again.